Hey guys, this is Iggy Dash, and I want to do a build on my Ranger because I'm beginning to like him more and more and more. Alright, this is going to be a build that is strictly designed to do damage in dungeon situations, in event situations, in farming situations, just straight up pure crit power damage. That's what it is. So let's get started with the traits. Alright, the traits are going to be 30 in marksmanship, 30 in skirmishing, 5 in wilderness survival, 5 in beast mastery. There's a lot of traits that can be changed or moved depending on your situations. This is primarily what I like to run for the most part when I'm doing event chains or when I'm doing dungeons. This is usually what I run. Alright, let's start with the Grandmaster traits. For skirmishing, I'm going to use Carnivorous Appetite. Pet gains health on critical hits. Since we don't have a lot of defense or boons or any defensive skills for the most part, we go ahead and try to get ourselves some sustain. One of the better ways to do that with Carnivorous Appetites is you're going to be critting all the time. Your pet's going to be constantly getting health, so if they have aggro, they can survive. Remorseless is the marksmanship trait for Grandmaster that I choose. It regains opening strike when you kill a foe. Now if you don't know what opening strike is, let's go ahead and look at your minor traits for marksmanship. Alright, opening strike causes vulnerability with your first strike when entering combat. Okay, pretty self-explanatory. Pets also have opening strike, so that's twice the amount of vulnerability. Okay, opening strike always crits, so that's going to give you vulnerability and bleeding right off the bat. Okay, and now whenever you kill something, opening strike resets itself, so you're always stacking vulnerability whenever you start hitting something. It's a great way to start a fight, and people really underestimate the amount of damage that can come from 25 stacks of vulnerability. That's 25% more damage that you're doing. Alright, piercing arrows is one of my favorite traits because it turns both your longbow and your shortbow, specifically your shortbow, into a multi-target weapon. You just gotta line up your targets and you can pierce right through them and you hit all of them. It's great for, I can guarantee you that you can survive with a shortbow just by itself. I would say 90% of AoE situations you can do it just by taking piercing arrow. One of my favorite traits. Alright, steady focus. Damage is increased by 10% when endurance is full. We have range, which is a vast improvement over my warrior, my guardian, even my necromancer, because since we have range, there's gonna be situations where you don't need to use your endurance and you can just full out blast people, so you're gonna get that 10% bonus a lot. Okay, for skirmishing, I like to take sharpened edges. This is not a condition build, so the bleeding that we're gonna have is not powerful or as powerful as it should be, but it's nice to have a little extra, especially when you're doing solo play and you don't have anybody else providing you with bleeds. It helps get the mobs down a little faster. Let's see, what could you switch it up for? Quick draw is a decent skill, but the best attack for both the shortbow and the longbow is their auto attack, their main #1 attack. So you primarily want to be using that unless you need some sort of ability condition. I'll go over that when I go over the skills, or when I go over the weapons, sorry. So I mean, that's good. It's not great, but it's good. Pet do 30% more damage on critical hits. If you're running with cats as pets, then this would be more beneficial because cats have a lot of precision. And honestly, none of the other ones are very good. So I usually stick with sharpened edges. Companions might, critical hits got might to your pet. We're going to be critting a lot, so your pet's going to have perma might going on, which is great. It does have an internal cooldown, so you're not going to get like 25 stacks of might on your pet. I've already tried. But it's decent, you know, it's an improvement. The minor traits in marksmanship, gain swiftness when swapping weapons in combat. This is useful because if you're moving from somebody chasing you, you want to switch to your short bow real quick. You can easily switch to your short bow and escape very quickly. Gain fury when swapping weapons in combat. This is a biggie because you can actually have perma fury going on if you know what you're doing and if you can keep yourself at range. Deal 10% more damage when flanking. This is also a great skill, as once you learn how to control your pet a little better, and it's a lot easier with ranged pets, and I'll explain that a little later, you can actually do more flanking that you normally should soloing. Alright, the 5 points in Wilderness Survival and Beast Mastery are really awesome, that's why we need it. Okay, 5 points in Wilderness Survival increases endurance regeneration by 50%. It's permanent vigor. It's amazing. I'm not 100% sure if it stacks with vigor, but you don't need it. You'll get endurance very quickly. And then Beast Mastery Suffer Speed is one of the best traits in any character. You and your pet gain 2 seconds of quickness when you swap pets. To give you an idea how much 2 seconds of quickness is, it's enough to down regular mobs, no problem. And very few people can get this much quickness. In our build we have a lot of quickness going on, so we have a lot of damage going out very, very fast. So I'd say our pet timer is at like 15 seconds. Let's find out real quick. When we're in battle, we'll switch it and I'll figure it out. So between 10 and 15 seconds, and then you can have 2 seconds of quickness. So that's really good. Let's go ahead and talk about the slot skills real quick. Healing skills, I prefer Healing Spring because it is our main way to get conditions of ourselves. It's on a 30-second cooldown. It lasts 15 seconds, so technically you could call it a 15-second cooldown, which is shorter than any other heal that you're going to be able to find. And for these 15 seconds, if you stay within the circle, any conditions coming at you will be instantly removed. So you're constantly clearing yourself of conditions. It's amazing. Healers 1 is okay. It's direct heal. It's on a 12-second cooldown. But the cast time is 1¼ seconds compared to the cast time of this, which is almost instant. It's half a second. Troll Unduant. It's mostly for tanky pets. If you have tanky pets and your build revolves around traps and survivability, you can really use Troll Unguent to just tank anything with your massive bear pet or whatever you have. Healing Spring is what we have, and then Healing Seed, it's more of a, I would call it a world v world. It's not really great. It lasts 30 seconds, so it's on a 15-second cooldown, but it's really not that great. You can place it somewhere else so you can support your allies, but it's like, for example, when you're taking over a gate in World v World, you place that down while you stay at range. That way you don't have to worry about that. Alright, for my utility skills, number 1, Quickening Suffer is hands down the best utility skill we have. You have to use this for this build in particular. It gives you quickness for 4 seconds. Every 60 seconds. It's a long time of quickness. You'd be surprised how many shots you can get off. And not a lot of people have this. I mean, you'll be able to use it pretty frequently. And I'd say you could have quickness up around 30 to 45% of the fight, which is a long time if the fight's long. Okay, right now I like using Signet of the Hunt. Increased movement speed is nice when you're not in dungeons. When you're in dungeons, you don't really need the increased movement speed. So if you don't want it, I'll show you which other skills are actually pretty good. Signet of the Wild, it grants health regeneration to you and your pet. Again, we're going with the theme of having some regeneration for us and our pet so that we can survive those fights without having a lot of defensive stats. So this is really nice. Okay, for utility skills that you might want to switch into, I recommend Sun Spirit. If you know it's gonna live, if you can put it in a corner and there's not a lot of big AoEs in a box fight, if you put Sun Spirit down and you're in a party, you'll almost 100% guaranteed to have burning on your boss for 100% of the time. So it's perma burning when you drop the Sun Spirit, so that's nice for conditions. And then Frost Spirit is highly recommended as well. It gives everybody on your team 10% bonus damage on hit. So you get 10% bonus of damage pretty consistently, especially if it doesn't die. Again, these guys can die, so it's hit or miss. You don't really want to mess with anything else. The other one that's good is Sharpening Stones, but we're not a condition build, so it's really pretty useless for us to stack all this bleeding, especially if somebody else on the team is a condition build and they can stack bleeding that will hurt the boss a lot more than our bleeding would. So we're actually impeding them from doing their job. Traps are pretty much useless because we're not trying to go survival. And Signet of Stone, a lot of people run it. I don't think we need the toughness because we can move around, we can dodge. And the active is pretty nice, but it's on a 120-second cooldown, which is ridiculous. The active is your pet takes no damage. A lot of people use this in specific situations where you need to stand still. One thing I can think of is the Dredge Fractal. A lot of people run with that. They use Signet of Stone and they use a specific trait which is in the marksmanship tree, which is called Signet of the Beastmaster, which is active effects of signets also affect you. Alright, so what this means is that you become invulnerable for 6 seconds, which is really nice. Okay, another one that synergizes really well with Beastmaster, with the Signet of the Beastmaster, is the skill that we have right here, Signet of the Wild. They are on very long cooldowns because they're so powerful, but you and your pet will grow larger, dealing more damage and gain stability. So you become this sort of, it really reminds me of the WoW pet skill for the Beastmaster trait line. I don't even remember what it's called. Something one with the beast or something, where you both get crazy rage. Rampage's one is the one we have here. So yeah, Rampage's one is what I use for my elite skill. It gives us might, fury, swiftness, and every time we attack it gives us, like when I attack it gives my pet might, when my pet attacks it gives me might. So it is really nice and effective. For more defensive situations I like to use Spirit of Nature, but the cooldown on it is pretty ridiculous, and so is the cooldown of the Druid Spirit. But for the most part, almost 90% of the time I'm using Rampage's one. Alright, that's it for traits and skills. The next video is going to be on weapons, armor, runes and sigils. So look forward to that. The Ziggy Dash signing out.